Hello, and welcome to another episode of Round Robin. Today we're going to be talking about a topic specific to homeowners, and particularly homeowners in some areas that might need a little help in fixing up the outside of their home, which helps our neighborhoods as well. With us today is Cindy Woolwine, and she is the city's housing reinvestment specialist. Welcome, Cindy.
Thanks, Robin. It's good to be here.
Good. And as you can see, we have a very large sign promoting the program that Cindy's going to be talking about today. It is Caught with Curb Appeal. What does that mean exactly?
Well, Caught with Curb Appeal, really for a lot of people, you get the definition by when you say it. But we wanted to do something that really caught people's attention, that focused on really the exterior of their property and what they could do to make the exterior of their property better. So I work in the Community Development Department and the Housing and Neighborhood Services Division, and we work with homeowners in select neighborhoods to help them and encourage them, provide incentives for them to make improvements to the exterior of their property. When you make improvements to the exterior of the property, you're encouraging homeowners in that neighborhood to really take pride in their home, and our home is still one of our biggest investments.
Now that's what I was going to ask. What is the city's interest in me as a homeowner?
Well, the city started this several years ago when they developed master plans for different areas of the city. And out of that master plan process came the Downtown Hampton Master Plan. And they went through a planning process at the time, and the Downtown Hampton Master Plan looked at a couple of adjacent neighborhoods, Pasture Point being one and Old Hampton being the other. And both of the neighborhoods have historic symbolics, but they're different. Pasture Point, larger homes, more Victorian style. Old Hampton had a really rich history after the war and the burning of downtown Hampton. So it was really interesting to go in and meet those folks in those neighborhoods and work with them, but really to come in and try to encourage reinvestment in those neighborhoods. And so out of that came the Hampton Housing Venture Program, and we looked for incentives for those the folks in those neighborhoods to find ways to improve the exterior of their property. And there were several things that we did, but over time, as part of this pilot program, over time things have evolved. We still have a great partnership with the Hampton Redevelopment and Housing Authority that we can refer folks to as well. But the Caught with Curb Appeal program started in 2007, and it was trying a simple way to reach out to those homeowners in those communities to make improvements to the exterior of their property, trying to make it a simple process, but we meet dollar for dollar.
So let's talk about that for a second. This is not a city handout. This is a partnership. The homeowner puts up half the money and gets a grant from the city for the other half.
They do. And the way the process works is actually the homeowner, the project, it's a simple application process, really 2 pages, but it's a 3-part process. We really want to know what the house looks like now. And then the second part of it is to go over what you want to do. And part of this, the exterior improvements, can be such things as painting your house. It can be adding exterior improvements such as shutters or decorative porches. It can be landscaping, decorative lighting. It can be fencing. And when we first started this program, and particularly with the Pasture Point and Old Hampton neighborhoods, we actually developed a curb appeal guide for them. And really it's a guide that was developed for those neighborhoods, but is generic enough that can be used for other neighborhoods in Hampton. But it was a way to help them identify some things that they could do to the exterior of their property. It was a minimum grant that they $250 and will go up to $5,000. And so they come through, their project is looked at by a whole group of interdepartmental staff. We actually sit down and go through every project and look at them to see what they want to do. Once it's determined and it's approved, then we get them an agreement to be signed and they start on the project. The caveat to this is they must finish the project in 6 months.
Now let me just interrupt for a second. You have some slides that hopefully we'll be able to run that show some before and after, so you can get an idea of what some of our homeowners have done with this money. And you said some of those examples were painting the front. I know I've seen things like shutters. Somebody maybe did a porch or a patio, out front, some driveways so that they aren't parking on the street. What are some other examples that you can think of that people might be able to do?
Well, when we started in Pasture Point in Old Hampton, they did a lot with the porches like you talked about because they were older homes. And you find with older homes, and there are a lot of older homes in Hampton, over time that style of home has been modified, and not necessarily modified in a way that they really want now. So we've been able to help homeowners go in and redo that porch and bring it back to what it should be, the style it should be. We talked about Pasture Point in Old Hampton. We were able to extend this program to another neighborhood, which is the Sussex neighborhood, a couple of years ago. So we went into the Sussex neighborhood and actually created a guide for the Sussex folks as well. This went through a planning process. We were able to work with an architect in the city, actually sit down with the folks in those neighborhoods and talk about what they wanted. Sussex neighborhood is off of Kickingham Road. A lot of the houses are very similar blueprint on those houses.
And in fact, they were duplexes originally.
They were.
Right.
They were originally military housing, and then over the years they became single family, and they're all brick houses, and so there's great opportunity.
Right,
to do
they're
things.
very sturdy brick, nicely constructed, but it's a little bit of a different layout to work with.
It is, and so to go with them and add some curb appeal, there was decorative entryways, there was A-frame porches, there was fencing, there was lighting, there was things that we could do, and if people had to redo things such as front doors or windows, we wanted to make sure that it really went with the style of those homes. So it's try to help them, and also in here we had one of our senior planners that was able to come up and develop a landscape plan, and actually 3 landscape plans out of this neighborhood, a basic, a moderate, and one that's more advanced landscaping plan. But I suggest, for folks to go online, even if you don't live in this neighborhood, this particular Sussex style guide, you could definitely use that landscape plan if you live in another area in the city.
Well, and that's one of the things too. It isn't just the matching money program, but the city brings a lot of resources to the table, because I think I as a homeowner sometimes want to do something but have no idea what to do or how to do it. And so you compile list of resources and show people what other people have done. I didn't even know about the landscaping ideas. I think that's tremendous, because you're taking that professional work of developing those plans, and then anybody can, well, almost anybody can at least try to implement it, and then the cost is much less if you can do some of the work yourself.
Much less, and that's part of it when they apply, if they're going to have a contractor. And in these guides we also have some good information about if you're selecting a contractor, and there's about 5 things that you would want to consider in doing that. So we definitely want them to be careful when they're going about doing this process to get at least 3 estimates on the work that they're going to have done. But yes, we give basic guidelines on what they can do, but things that they can do themselves, like landscaping. If you could, for $1,000, for instance, redo the whole landscaping on the front of the house, the city can't reimburse you for your labor, but we can for your materials. So for $1,000, you want to redo the landscaping on your house. The way the process works is you're going to complete the work. You're going to save all the receipts from that. You're going to show us that. We'll look at the befores and after. We make sure it goes with what you said you were going to do. You're going to put up the money for the work itself, and when you turn in the receipts, you're going to be reimbursed for up to 50% of that, or per your agreement. So great opportunity.
That is a great opportunity, because all that, even if you're willing to do the work, it's still, the bedding plants, the mulch, you may have to rent equipment to dig it up and things like that. That's
and a lot
great.
of times people really just need that jump start.
Well, and I notice too, when somebody in a neighborhood does it, and I think this also speaks to what the city's interest in the program is, when one house does it, and there's a house in Sussex, I don't know if they were in your program, but I drive past them every day, and I see it spreading. I see their neighbors going, wow, I didn't know a house could look that great. Let me do something. And it spreads and makes the neighborhood, it raises property values and makes it a more attractive place to live.
It does raise the property values. It gets people out in the street talking. This neighbor says, what are you doing? Who did you use? I really like what you did. So we have people that sometimes go through the neighborhood and thinks they took advantage of this grant, which is great, but sometimes they don't. They just are encouraged to do it on their own. The other neighborhood I will mention to you is we moved after Sussex. We moved a year ago to Buckroe, We started in phase 1, which Buckroe wasn't one of our venture neighborhoods, but it was one that is part of the master plan for Hampton. But there's a lot going on at Buckroe at the time. So we decided to move to Buckroe and offer this program for them as well. We've had really great response for them. As you know, Buckroe is a community of a lot of different style homes, so sometimes it's a challenge to know what to do.
Right, a lot of them are kind of almost bungalows.
They are. Because of the history, Buckroe is another area in Hampton has a rich history because a lot of those homes were not designed to be year-round housing.
They were summer rentals.
They were cottages, and people have decided over the years to stay there. So we designed another guide for them to look at things they can do, identify the style of their home, look at the materials, look at the colors, take cues from nature. And if you're going to be down by the beach, look at those blues and those greens and the beiges and things that you get the cues from what's around you, and look at what's on your street and things that you can highlight. So it's been exciting to watch them be part of this as well. We've had great response from Buckroe as well. We did mention to the sign earlier, when they finished doing their project, we put a sign in their yard, which encourages people in the neighborhood to know, like, you took advantage of this, it worked out okay for you, tell me about it. And that's part of what we want to do, is to encourage that.
That's great. Now tell us again, you have an application deadline.
We do have an application. The letter will be going out actually from the city manager to those select neighborhoods this next week. And we usually give them about 6 weeks. So they will have through the end of April to get that back. And we do also, in the letter, it's mentioned to them, we do offer design assistance, which is free. It's offered through the resources that we have with the city, and it's on an appointment basis. If they just need technical assistance or just somebody sitting down with them and going over that process, they can call me, and I will be glad to sit down and go over that with them. It is offered online, so that they are able to pull it off online and they can fill it out. And there's also a template on there really as a sample of how to fill one out. We've just found the more helpful we can be in that process, the more likely that we're actually get people to say, I think this is something that I can do, that I want to do, and I'm ready to get started.
That's great. So if people have questions, they should call 311? They
can call 311. They can call our office, Community Development, and at the Housing and Neighborhood Services, and we will, be glad to connect. I'll be glad to give them that information. They can go online to the main website for the city, and they'll connect back to our office or soldonhampton.com, which will also have a copy of these guides I showed you. Those are also online, so anybody can look at them. You can print off a page and take it to your local nursery and come up with that landscape design plan.
That's great. And Cindy, how much does the city put toward this? And is it all city funds, or do we get any federal assistance for this program?
It's city funds and the capital improvement for Buckroe. So we don't get any federal funds for that, and of course there is limited opportunity for that. We do want folks to know that. The projects are looked at according to how impactful they're going to be, whether or not people have received these grants before. But we have in investment since the program has started, it's been over $450,000 in public investment and over $550,000 in private investment. So we just think this has been a great thing for our neighborhoods, for homeowners, and for our city.
That is huge, because I hear from a lot of people that a lot of city aid and redevelopment goes toward big projects or developers or retail establishments. And this is a case where the money goes to the homeowner and the neighborhood, and really, as you call it, reinvestment, but reinvesting in those older neighborhoods and keeping them viable and strong for the future.
Right, and that's what we want to encourage, because we do have a lot of older neighborhoods, but rich history. People have been here for years, and it's something about driving up in front of your house and feeling really good about it and taking that pride in your neighborhood. And that's really a contagious thing we found, is that we can encourage it. We can start in that neighborhood or that block. We can encourage that kind of reinvestment and get people excited about what they're doing in their neighborhoods.
Really an exciting program. Thank you so much, Cindy, for coming by.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Round Robin. I hope you'll come back for another episode.